Recording. Let's see. Okay. All right. Bet. Um. Welcome. I have a tradition where I introduce all of my special guests on the show, and so I wrote up a little introduction for you that I'll read right now. Um. Today, I'm so happy to have with me my big bro. He is one of my best friends and an avid movie, TV show, and media enjoyer just like myself. He's the best communicator and social engagement person I know, able to talk to anyone and give the heartfelt impression that he cares and is interested. He has made great strides with his up and coming DJing career and is a master chef in his own regard. A complete humble and caring individual who always has had my back. I am so happy you're joining me today again. Please welcome Malik Joseph. Woo!
We can cut it right there. We can end right there.
Nah, man, we just getting started. Thank you once again for joining me. I'm so excited. Alright, so without further ado, we'll get right to the first question. I have this thing on the channel called the Verse Meter, which is basically I give like a Rotten Tomatoes-esque scale. So like out of 100, how do I rate a show or a movie? So Black Panther, out of 100, what are you giving it on the Verse Meter?
I love that. Thank you again for the intro. Out of 100, I'm gonna have to say 110. I'm not gonna lie. Like
110. Okay, talk about it.
I don't think it's on the scale simply because as a man who's literally adopted 5 different tattoos from this one movie alone, it surpasses everything for me that I've ever watched. So I'm excited to get into it, but yeah, I think it breaks the scale for me. So I'm saying 110.
110. Okay, you said the bar high. I like that. I would say for me, probably like I think it's up there like a 95. And I think just because at the time what it did, being the first standalone Marvel movie, superhero movie with all black characters, that was just awesome to see. Like, and Black Panther, like easily my favorite superhero out of everyone. I think it just has to be. But no, it was just amazing, and how they encapsulated so much of like the African culture and all that. And like you said, I know the tattoos you have are like from that, empowering from that. And so
Yep.
that's how I give it.
Absolutely. I mean, and also not just, I know you talked about like the black cast, but the cast, I kind of noted them. Chadwick Boseman, Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Sterling K. Brown, Michael B. Jordan, Andy Serkis, Winston Duke, Daniel Kaluuya, Martin Freeman. Like, it's just the star. It's an Avengers of,
True.
all in one movie in terms of the Hollywood actors. And it's just, they all come together so well. Obviously, it's black majority cast. And Ryan Coogler, I mean, that's him to thank. But yeah, I think it's just as awesome to see all these people come together and create such a masterpiece that was back in 2018. I mean, that was my senior year of high school. I got this Black History Month senior year. So to leave and, embark on a new journey and seeing Chadwick and what he did with the movie, it's inspirational. I'm not sure. Do you remember where you were at the time when it came out in 2018?
I don't remember, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's crazy that you're able to remember that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw it 5 times in theaters. So
5 times? Oh wow.
Dude, I'm telling you, captivated.
That's very interesting because the way you describe it kind of makes me think of how I felt with Across the Spider-Verse. And just like, how when I saw that, I was just like, what? Because I feel like I personally can relate to Miles a lot, especially in that movie. And so I feel like that, I think I saw that maybe like 3 times in theaters. But it's just like the reaction you're talking about is kind of what makes you feel like. But that's good. I'm glad to know this is a movie you feel so strongly about. Perfect that I have you here on the channel for it. So the next question is, who is your favorite and least favorite character from the movie?
That's a tough one. Favorite. So Winston Duke, M'Baku. M'Baku is the epitome of the sidekick that doesn't get as much appreciation as he should get.
Okay.
He, from his first battle with T'Challa, right, with Chadwick's character, where he literally pushed him. I mean, M'Baku got some hands, right? he stabbed bro, got him in the chest, which the logic of that kind of goes out the window. You get stabbed
Uh-huh.
in the chest, and you survive from that, and you fight and you win.
Yeah.
But just pushing T'Challa to the brink to start, I don't think T'Challa would have had the gut to come back and fight with Killmonger if he didn't go through the first challenge with M'Baku. And so I
Interesting.
think M'Baku's an underrated character because he doesn't get as much appreciation for building up, and kind of throwing a couple jabs into T'Challa at first. So that's my favorite. He's also just funny. He's got hilarious lines
He
throughout.
does, yeah.
I think when he threatens to eat, he's like, "Oh my kids, I'll feed you to my kids." To Agent Ross,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
remember that? He's like, "Oh wait, just kidding. We're vegetarian." Like he's just got the aura. You know what
That
I
is,
mean?
yeah.
You feel his presence.
Mm-hmm.
Least favorite, it has to be Daniel Kaluuya's character. I forget his name, but he's the husband of Okoye.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like he just doesn't do it for me. He's the king of the border tribe. He turns on T'Challa quick as
The
hell.
first one, the first
Man,
one.
what?
Yeah.
He ain't a real one. He's not a real one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What are you thinking?
Thank you. My favorite, I think I like Shuri a lot. I feel like just coming from like the engineering background for myself, like all the work that she puts in, kind of how she's like the like T'Challa's like person in the chair, I guess. It's like behind the scenes, making all the inventions for him, which was I feel like that was really cool how they made sure to put in that part where we can see like how Wakanda has all this crazy technology and awesome stuff that they're working on. I mean that they're not sharing with the world unfortunately, but like that they're able to progress so much faster than everyone else. So I feel like she was really cool. She had she had quippy lines. I feel like that were good. Like the "What are those?" That was a little corny. And then like the middle finger to Chadwick or all that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like those just like, and I
The
feel like that.
sneakers. She had the sneakers line.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. With the yeah, exactly. But I just feel like that was kind of my type of humor when I had watched that. Like some like corny, not immature, but like what I'm saying. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
obviously not at the same level or step that the other characters around her are on. So
For
I,
sure.
I think I liked
She
her the
brings a
most.
youthfulness you
Oh, for
enjoy.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I also really like the second movie to see her get to be in the limelight and do her thing after, being kind of a side character for the first one. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
for my least favorite character, oh, I think that's tough. Um, Low key, I think I'll agree with you. I forget the dude's name, but Daniel Kaluuya. I feel like he just was. I don't know if it took away from him. I don't know if he was just like given bad lines, but I do agree with you. It just was kind of crazy how fast he switched up. And like I feel like if he's seen Chadwick grow up, he's been here, been with him, been around him for so long, he would have been like let me stick through it like a Koye or the other people. But regardless, yeah, I thought he could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, big time. And he's ready to fight his wife too. We gotta remember that part. He's
Yeah.
ready to go to combat with the one that he's laying up in bed with. And it's just kind of a crazy concept to me. Like you're not only picking on any Dora Milaje, but the head of
Hmm.
the Dora Milaje. Like, I mean, clearly he was ready for a change in leadership and he wanted to get the guns and vibranium outside of Wakanda. Like I appreciate the notion, but to switch up that quick, man,
Yeah.
on your best friend and your wife, it's just a double. I can't forgive it. I can't forgive it. So
Fair
I'm glad we
enough.
agree with
Yeah.
that. I'm glad we agree with that. And I love the Shuri take because yeah, you're right. She's brilliant. And your STEM background with her, I mean, even like to start. I mean, we're talking about the first movie, but in Wakanda Forever, to start, like she makes the generic, like herb, right? Because remember Michael B. Jordan's character Killmonger kills and burns all of the garden, right? So there's no
Hmm.
more herb. So the fact that she literally creates like a synthetic material that like is a hybrid of her own, it just shows her brilliance. So I think
Yeah.
she did for sure earned the Black Panther crown after T'Challa passed on.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point that probably a lot of people pass over, and especially since like we see she tried to recreate it at the beginning to save T'Challa to save him, and I think that
Mhm.
was the cool development in that movie to show like how she was able to grow, like you said, and find it out herself, and that it had to be from the underwater people. What do they call themselves? I forget what they call themselves.
Namor and what's his crew called? The Tem, some of the T.
I forget. But yeah,
Yeah.
how she was able to use like their technology and their materials in order to fix Wakanda stuff. That was really cool.
I agree.
So moving next, another fun question. What is your favorite moment from the movie? Like, what is the moment you're
Ooh.
always like, I can't wait to get to when you're watching it?
I'll be honest, it's not a great like a cheery and happy um euphoric moment, but I think the scene when Zuri, Forrest Whitaker's character, the
Mm-hmm.
uncle of T'Challa, when he's telling T'Challa about for the first time about Killmonger and how after T'Chaka killed his brother,
Uh huh.
for some of vibranium outside of and going to California trying to distribute it to the Black Panthers over there. When Zuri told T'Challa for the first time, he said we have to maintain the lie when referring to leaving Michael B. Jordan's character. And every single time I watch that, it
Mm.
just breaks me. It just breaks me because one is Forrest Whitaker, and the way his deliverance of the line is just brilliant. And you can kind of see like playing up to it. Like obviously Killmonger, we see him in the flesh, like he's a grown man. He's like killing. He's trying to climb his way back to Wakanda, go to the throne. So we know what he becomes. But the storytelling of it from Forrest Whitaker as an actor, the way that he conveys it in that scene is just brilliant. And you can just feel. I think like there's like chords that like start to rise. There's violins that are playing, and then it all cuts out for a second, and then that's when he drops a line. We have to maintain the line, and you could just tell T'Challa immediately was just gutted. And it wasn't more than 30 minutes later in the movie where he went to the ancestral plane and after getting his ass beat and talked to his dad and was like, "Listen," and just confronted him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every single time that just for some reason sticks with me. And I give to Forrest Whitaker a lot of credit for the deliverance of that line.
Mm. I need to
Yeah.
rewatch the movie because I'm trying to remember that exact scene. But from your
Mhm.
explanation, which is also very in depth, thank you very much for
Yeah, no,
getting
for
that real
sure,
quick.
for sure. I was writing notes too. I was like, let me make sure I understand the
Got it. It's paying
everybody where
off.
they're
You
at.
came prepared. You're definitely you're the most prepared person I've had on the podcast. Yeah,
Hey,
let's
come
say
on
that.
now,
So
come on now, come on now.
appreciate it.
Let's
Appreciate
take.
it. People need to watch this episode and lock in.
Well, what is your favorite? Not even just favorite moment, but what stands out to you? What do you look forward to the most when you watch it?
I think for me, it's the part where when he's walking up on the hill and he's like, and as you can see, I'm not dead. He's like, I never yielded.
Mm.
And just like the fact that like bro pretty much was dead, but like he came like he crawled back. I mean, he could have ran away, done whatever, but it was his duty and responsibility as king to come back and come literally liberate his people, I guess. And I feel like that's just like the visuals of it. Cause I remember he's just like sauntering up, like not like cocky, but like kind of like a little bit arrogance to him, because he knows he got it. He's unlocked the wisdom he needs to actually take Killmonger down. Going through the Rocky training montage, if you will. So now he's on the good end, so he can whip his butt.
Come on now,
But
Rocky. Yep.
yeah, I think that's definitely my favorite part. And it's just like at that scene, everyone's starting to throw hands and get active. And I feel like that's usually when I like movies where people are being there's action. Something's going on. Someone's working. So I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
that's probably my favorite scenes.
yeah. Love it, love it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of like the general view of the show questions, and then going a little bit more in depth. This is one of my favorite questions to ask. What character do you think that you're most like from the movie, and what character do you think that I'm most like from the movie, and why?
Hmm. Which one do you want first?
You can pick. It's your choice.
All right. I know for myself, I'm definitely I think Jury. So again, um, it's funny because Shuri and Zuri sound very similar. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Zuri. So Forrest Whitaker's character because he's like a little spy. You know what I mean? Like he was with the uncle at first, T'Chaka's brother in California. He was with him. He was able to play his part, and as a black man in corporate America, I feel like I got a code switch a lot, so I understand like where he comes from and how he had to
Mm.
literally like hide, his true identity because he was spying on T'Chaka's brother. And I think his inability. So when Killmonger is about to kill T'Challa in battle, and he has the blade like over his head. He's gonna come down with it. Remember when Zuri comes out with his sword? He's like, "Don't kill him. Like I'm the reason your father died."
Mm-hmm.
He had that moment of compassion. Um, I feel like I like to step in for people a lot and speak for people, and try and represent people that are vulnerable, weak.
Mm.
And he did in that moment, and he paid for it with his life because Killmonger killed him right after.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I feel like Zuri is someone that kind of stays out of the way, and he can be incognito. And as a middle child, I get that too. So I think
Mm.
there's a couple of different similarities I have with him. That makes sense. I think you knocked on the head with your own. The nail on the head with yours is Shuri for sure. Like I think your technological brilliance as a Yonde, like you can just figure out how to finesse things. And I think one of Shuri's line is that in a good way. One of Shuri's lines when she tells Chadwick, she's like just because it's good doesn't mean it can't not be improved or something, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And when he was like getting a little cocky and like, no, it's like it's perfectly fine. Like my costume is great. Like it has everything I need. It's very functional. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, let's make it better. And I feel like you are like usually someone you always think about how you can make something better, how you can
Mm.
engineer. I
Okay.
was talking to Dad about
That's
this
good.
recently about how you made the AC unit in your bedroom.
Oh,
You remember
brother.
making that when it was hot and it was cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it
AC was
was
cut
failed,
out,
but yeah, I tried.
but you found a way. Like Shuri would find a way to do that in her own house, or in her
Very.
own like she just uses it, her brilliance. So I think you are for sure very similar. You remind me of her a lot.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that for sure. Once saying that, I think that I definitely agree. Um, yeah, I feel like if I had to pick someone for myself, it probably would be Shuri. Like for reasons that you just mentioned and things I mentioned earlier. I feel like yeah, and I feel like even relating it kind of on the larger scheme of things from this movie and the second movie, I feel like that really proves to me that I resemble a lot of her. Like she resembles me rather, but just like how she's able to go from being able to do her own engineering and all that and be like someone who can work on the side but then also being someone who can like step into the limelight if they need to and like take care of business and all that. I feel like that's like kind of like my arc that I'm trying to set in stone or whatever.
Yeah.
um
And you
as for
definitely give the middle finger. You definitely give me the middle finger behind like our mom's back. So like that was just like
oh,
also
that's
another
crazy.
thing.
Those are
That's
my
crazy.
viewers that okay. uh I'm
You
trying
can
to
edit that
think
out.
for you. I feel
What you
like
got?
Killmonger,
Mm.
and I'm only saying the
Break it down.
positive. I think only positive things, not the negative things, not killing people. uh, I would say Killmonger, and I would say that because a he's deeply passionate for everything that he does. That's where it stems from. It's his people. He's looking at the Wakandans like, how the heck are y'all sitting up here when there's plenty of other brothers and sisters, that are struggling around the world? And I feel like if there's a group, that's the type of questions that you're asking. Like you're trying to think about everyone else. Like no way I'm gonna let us all eat and we still have people out here that are still starving. Like I feel like that is 100% you. And then also just committed to it. Like just his mission. Like once he has it, he's not like he's unwavering. Like he's gonna keep going again and again and again until he gets it. And I feel like that's you. I feel like when you have something that you want to do, that like you just keep working at it. Like I feel like you like for example, thinking of cross country, like going from playing one sport to switch to another is not easy, especially when it's your junior year. And I feel like
Senior year. Senior year.
senior year, especially when it's your senior year, your last year. And so, I feel like that's a good. Just like you got something in mind, you got a dream, you got a goal. Let's go after it. Like let's do it. And I feel like I'm seeing it again with the DJ and like something that like yeah you know music very well, but it's like a whole new realm of music. and so I feel like just like not even I wouldn't say diving in head first, but just like knowing how to get a good strategy and a good plan. Like I want to do this, build up my skills. Start with this, then we gonna move to that section. And I feel like kind of like connecting. This might be cheating, but like from the What If episodes with that Killmonger was in with like Tony Stark, but he was just like very methodical in that, and I feel like that's you. I feel like that's how I view you.
I appreciate that. That was brilliant. I can overlook all of his violent tendencies for that alone.
Yeah. Let's just ignore those. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. Let's think of the good stuff.
He's a great person. I feel you. Get it. Appreciate you.
Perfect. All right. Moving on. If you could change one plot aspect from the movie, what would it be and why? So that can be like changing a character's decision or a character's motive or like something like that. Just like changing the story a little bit. What would you do differently?
That's a good question. Well, one big plot hole that I found, or that I thought of when I watched it. Everett Ross, so the CIA agent, played by Martin Freeman, when he gets shot by Killmonger, when Killmonger saving Claw, when he was all chained up and they got him, he gets shot, and I remember the Wakandans are like, hey, like we can take him back. They're talking to his CIA agents. Everett's down. They're like, we can take him back to Wakanda and we'll save him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Ain't no CIA. You're not convincing me that CIA is going to let any of their agents be taken to an African nation for anything, let alone surgery after getting a wound, from getting shot. So that, they kind of skimmed over that. Like, I think
that's a good point.
That's a little bit of a plot. And I think obviously you want to include, Everett Ross, the agent in the film, because, he kind of talks about and ties the US and Wakanda. Like he's like the middle point, I guess you could say. Like he kind of ties them together. But I think for the sake of the movie, like in Black Power and Black Excellence, we don't need that. Like send him back to Virginia and let's go back to Wakanda and kill on Killmonger. You feel me? Like we don't need that I don't think we needed that to advance the film. But I understand why, because of the US tie, and it was tethered to the story of Black Panther being connected to, of the Avengers, which are all from the US for the most part, right? Like most of them. So yeah, I think I would have probably eliminated that and just send him back home, or not make him jump in front of whoever he saved. I think it was one of the Wakandans. But yeah, that part definitely stands out to me as like this did not need to be included.
Wow, I didn't think about that, but that is a great part. You're right. No U.S. agents ever being let to willingly go to an African nation to be kept there, and there was no checking in on him. How you doing? None of that. That's a good point.
Not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How about you? What are you thinking?
I would because one thing I'm thinking about now is when Killmonger kills his girlfriend, right? I feel like maybe I need to rewatch the movie to see if it makes sense. But I feel like just thinking about it now, I don't think that part really made sense to me. Maybe she could have stayed with him. She could have not been there at the moment. She could have gone somewhere else. But I feel like that was just a little unnecessary. And like, I don't know. I think it portrayed Killmonger as even more violent than he needed to be. Like, I feel like that was him like going up a notch. Because like there was like killing Claw. Like, yes, I understand you're trying to get into the Wakanda, show them who you are, what you can do, what you bring to the table. But killing his girl, I don't know, that was a little ruthless to me.
It was brutal. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't bring that up in my comparison with him as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was a bad scene. There's no defending that too, because he straight up shot her, and then because it's weird, because Claw like had like her at gunpoint, and I think he was like aiming to like knock her out first and then get to Claw. Like he wasn't even trying to aim for Claw. He could have like got an ear or something, but like fully shot his girl. So there's no excuse in that.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, yeah, that's not why I said you, Killmonger. So the viewers know that's not why I did it. Alright. Knowing what you know now about how the movie ended, if you could give Killmonger a pep talk, we'll say, about his journey ahead when he was younger. So we'll say he just saw his dad dead on the floor. What would you say to Killmonger then?
Am I like the neighbor? Am I like a Wakandan? What am I? Who am I?
Oh, that's a good. I didn't think about who you are.
Because it's a different message for each.
You're God. I'm kidding.
Okay, now wait a minute.
um, you could be. Let's say a Wakandan. You could be a Wakandan. You know what happened, and you already know how the movie, like you've already seen the movie, so you're trying to like help him on his path, not be like a path of violence or whatever. What
Yep.
would you say to him?
So if I'm Wakandan, I'm kidnapping him, bringing him back to Wakanda, and he and T'Challa are gonna train each other. They're gonna work together. They're
Mm,
gonna be the best cousins ever. They are gonna help propel each other to just be great. And I think Killmonger, first of all, he wouldn't be called Killmonger. He'd be called Peacemaker. I don't know. Like he'll do something better because like he'll feel so at home. He'll see the sunsets his dad always talked about in Wakanda. Like he will
Peacemaker.
feel no envy, no jealousy whatsoever about Wakandans.
Uh,
Um, and I think when T'Challa confronted T'Chaka, his dad, in Ancestral Plane the second time, he said, no, the T'Chaka said, "We let the fear of our discovery stop us from what is right,"
mm,
and that's why they left Killmonger in his place. And so, if I am T'Chaka in that moment, or another Wakandan, taking because the fear of having him discovered, like kidnap him, bring him home, like he will no longer be discovered. He'll be in
yeah,
the crib, like he
he'll be
will be
there with
safe,
y'all.
you know, in our sanctuary. So, um, yeah, I think they could have instead of create an orphan, they could have given him a home that he's
Mm,
been hearing about and been taught about. So yeah, I'm bringing him straight to Wakanda. There's no other solution for me.
that's
So
very creative. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's
yeah,
really good.
appreciate it. What are you thinking? Are you leaving him there?
Dang, well, I don't. I mean, that's just. I mean, you introduced such a good idea. I want to take it for myself. So I feel like I would unfortunately leave him there. I would sit him down, talk him through. I would just talk him through what happened. Like, just be honest, be transparent, not lie to him. I wouldn't leave him there by himself. Like, I would like offer him to come visit Wakanda. Like, you're not gonna be estranged. Like, we still love you. Like, it wasn't your dad's fault necessarily. He was trying to do the right thing, but just it wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. What wasn't meant to be? His dad surviving, or like
His dad survived. Wait? I think I might be forgetting, but did he? The dad? Why did he kill the dad? Did he try to hurt?
so the
Oh,
dad. Remember, he stole vibranium, and then he gave Claw like I don't know. This is the Claw part is kind of muddy in my memory, but he gave Claw instructions as to how to get into Wakanda, steal vibranium, and then get out. And so
mm,
Claw created. I think he made an explosion at the border as he was leaving, and that killed like a bunch of Wakandans and civilians too. Um, and I assume Claw somehow got some vibranium to the uncle,
interesting.
but
Okay.
mhm. So he had some bodies on him. He had some bodies. So
Yeah. So I would
a
say,
little,
say yo, uncle, your dad was bugging. Your
a
dad
little
was
bit, just a
tripping.
little bit. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I like this question as well. What made Black Panther so iconic to you? A movie that you were watched
Mm.
5 times in theaters, have 5 tattoos. What resonated about it with you?
Oh, I mean, there's just so many. The first black superhero, like true black superhero film that I've witnessed, experienced. Um, the soundtrack, dude, like that.
Mm.
I remember listening to The Weeknd, Kendrick's features. I think Future's on there. Um, but yeah, Kendrick and The Weeknd, I think, kind of ran that, and I've just had that on repeat. I'm gonna be honest. I've had that on repeat for years,
Yeah.
and I'll definitely re-listen to it again. You know, after having watched it recently. But the soundtrack, the cast, dude, like they just, as you mentioned before, they just so many heavy hitters. You know, they could have definitely gotten. I know they get a lot of flack for not getting like African, um, like actors from Africa, but
Mm-hmm.
directly from Africa, right? And I think that's definitely something that we could see in future Black Panthers. But I think
Mm-hmm.
to start, like just to get this film on a global scale, like to be taken seriously, to get established actors that we all know and love, from so many different works of art,
Yeah.
is it just put it over the edge. And I think the storyline, the plot, talking about black trauma, black generational trauma, black what we pass down to each other, like it just really got into it. I think it was one of the first Marvel films for me that I noticed like family ties really ran like amok, and it really like controlled the narrative of the story. We hear about T'Challa and his sister and his dad who's leading the country, and his uncle's dispute with his dad is the reason why his cousin wants to kill him and take over, and has a different
Mm.
viewpoint, like the depths and the levels of family, and how like each of the characters are able to go back to the ancestral plane and confront their ancestors. I feel like a lot of black people, the reason why this film resonated for a lot of black people, I think, is we have a lot of things that we feel from our ancestors, but we can never have that conversation, you know?
Mm.
And I feel like the fact
I
that
like
they
that.
could physically go to a space where they're able to interact with their ancestors, confront them on, their past wrongs or their past positives. Um, I think that is what people really saw that and could relate to either Killmonger or T'Challa, whoever went back to the ancestral plane, because they both did at a certain point. So the plot, I mean, it's just across the board. I think it was just a cultural phenomenon because it checked all the boxes.
Wow. That was beautiful. I mean, I think
Thank
you perfectly encapsulated. I have nothing to add.
I'm
And I
sorry,
don't
I
know
took
if you.
everything. Yeah, I
No,
should have
you
had like one
did
or two, and
great.
then
Nope. Nah, that was good. You hit all the spots. I don't know if you can see how much time is left, but we have about 6 minutes left. So I'm gonna keep
okay.
moving to the next question. But I think that was better than any answer I could ever think of. So thank you.
Mhm.
I think you touched upon all the points I'll say again. Um, so these last two questions, or last one if we don't get to the second one, they're kind of about thinking forward. So if Ryan Coogler called you and he said, "Hey, Leaky, I need you to help me create the third Black Panther movie."
Mhm.
So I know this is about the first Black Panther movie. I know we haven't talked about the second Black Panther movie that much. But what would you do? What's a quick elevator speech for what you would do for the third Black Panther movie?
Mm. Hmm. So the end of Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, we find out that Chadwick has a son, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the son's gonna be him, but like different, like elevated. Like the son is gonna have the
Mm.
grit of T'Challa. He's gonna have the tenacity of T'Chaka. So, and I think I want to have a scene in the third movie where the son he faces some type of conflict and doesn't die, but goes to ancestral planes where he has T'Chaka giving advice and T'Challa, and he's weighing his options, and he's able to find out and kind of pick a path that's his own, that's separate from those both of those, his grandfather and his father.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just want to be able to see the ancestral plane theme and motif keep coming through. Like, just feed me all that.
Okay.
Um, as far as the plot, I got to think about that. You caught me on the spot, so I have nothing for the plot.
No
But because I
worries.
answered the last question so much, I want to hear your thoughts on what you have for this. What's your ideal Wakanda always, or whatever the third film is gonna be called?
Wakanda always. um, let's see. I don't really think of anything yet. Like I didn't pre-plan anything when I read the question, but I think for sure it's gonna be centered around his son. I think that would be nice. Maybe if we could. I don't know how this would work, but it could be like Killmonger has a son out there as well somewhere, and so it's like this is the chance for T'Challa's son, to right the wrongs of his grandfather and his father, kind of, and
Mm,
maybe him and T'Chaka's son are become good friends, kind of like what you were saying. For what would you change in the plot, or what you would bring to Killmonger, Peacemaker to Wakanda. So I feel like that would be cool at a different dynamic. And then even if you're feeling really spicy, you could go to the underwater people, get a youth, maybe a girl from in there, get some diversity in there. You have them three doing something, fighting the white people. Finally, I think I was talking to you and Kwame when we were talking about how we didn't like how it's been like Africans, like oppressed people versus oppressed people, and it's basically like, let's make each other oppressed instead of actually taking up arms together and taking against the people who are oppressing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that'd be kind of cool and a good switch. I know that'd be hard because Disney is run by like all white people and they don't want to see a movie about white people getting taken down. But I feel like that'd be maybe a good idea somewhere. Start down
I would love it. We might need to take that idea to Bollywood because they might have more freedom there, where they're able to have white folks getting slashed up left and right, like we did with the past, But yeah, you're right. Disney's never gonna be able to see that through, unfortunately.
Get over that. All right,
no, that's brilliant though. That makes a lot of sense. I like that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So for our very last question of the day, thank you again, just in case it gets cut off. What would you say to someone who hasn't seen Black Panther yet?
How long were you in the coma for, and do you need a lesson on everything since 2018? Like, no, for real, because like if you haven't seen it by now, I'm not even gonna entertain the conversation. It's just I'm gonna go through all the tattoos. I'm gonna tell you about why it stands above other superhero movies and why it means more than just any Marvel film that they've put out prior to Infinity War, because that's just a masterpiece, as we all know. But yeah, I guess just curious in terms of, when they knock their head and then how long it's taken to recover, and when they are recovered, like let's go put you in front of the best film of the past decade, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
Talk about it. Okay.
So more questions, I think, than answers for them, but we would have a discussion and to figure out where they've been.
Fair enough. I think that's great and valid. I remember I was in the car with Mom, and we were going to CSA soccer practice. We were carpooling with another young kid who was white, and I think it had been some time since the movie was released, but he just like, I don't even know if he knew the movie had come out. Like he just didn't seem interested at all. I was like, dang.
Come on, man.
And I promise you, he probably has not seen the movie to this day. So, but
hit him up. Hit him up.
I'll send him a bootleg copy of the movie. That way he can go watch it.
Yeah, for real. just get the worst jokes of the movie on repeat and just have it in the film. He doesn't deserve the real stuff at this point if he hasn't seen it.
Talk about it.
It's been 8 years.
Wow.
Well, 6 years. 6 years. 2018.
Almost on a decade.
Coming up.
All right. Well, thank you again so much. Appreciate you, Licky, for joining. It's probably gonna cut on us any second, but again, I'm sure the people are gonna be so happy for this episode. I appreciate all of your help. Oh, that was perfect. Hey. All right. See y'all.